What's up, y'all? My name is Taylor, and I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina today to talk to you about semen retention, and specifically how the practice of semen retention helps me make more money in my business. And yes, I am serious. And before you write this off, I invite you to just stick around for a minute or two, and I'm pretty sure I can convince you. And just as a quick side note, you're probably wondering what my business is. I am a professional commercial photographer, so I work mainly in the business spectrum of things. I've worked for clients like Google and Johnson Wales University and Subway and a bunch of other big name clients like that. So I started from nothing, and now I have a great career doing this photography stuff, and I'm also super stoked about sharing semen retention with you and sexual practices that I've learned, because that shit it lights me up. So, okay, 3 ways that semen retention helps me make more money in my business. The first way that semen retention helps me make more money in my business is that, go back to sex, like when I first started practicing semen retention, I was ejaculating every time I had sex, right? I saw ejaculation as the pinnacle of sex. It was the end of sex, and that was just linked in my brain as what you do. So I started to shift that narrative in my mind. I started to have sex without ejaculating, and I realized there's so much more energy available for me and my business if I did that. So that shifted over into other areas of my life, right? Because how we do one thing generally is how we do everything. So I started to not take every job that I was offered. At first you might be like, well, how does that make you more money, right? But I had this scarcity mindset that I was working with, and I would take every job that came to me, even if I didn't need the money. And what that was doing was it was actually tying me up, tying my resources up, tying my life force energy up. And so I started to not take those jobs, just like I started to not ejaculate every time I had sex. And in doing that, that brings me to point number 2 of how semen retention helps me make more money. I had more spaciousness and more ease in my life because I wasn't doing jobs all the time. I was able to take time to focus more on what it was that I actually wanted, instead of just this reactive, oh, I gotta come, or oh, I gotta take that job. It started shifting that paradigm in my brain and my psyche. So the third way that semen retention helps me make more money in my business is that, so when I first started, to be very real with you, when I first started this practice, I was really struggling with premature ejaculation, and I was afraid to even have sex, honestly. I had all this anxiety come up, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to last long enough to satisfy my partner. And the truth was, I wasn't. I had partners sometimes that would even be visibly upset that I had come too early, and that just sucked. I was walking around in a state of just lower self-worth and lower confidence. Even though I'd like to think that sexual performance doesn't equate to self-confidence or something like that, for me it really did. And practicing semen retention and starting to practice some of the exercises that helped me last longer in bed, it renewed my confidence, and it actually created a new confidence. It created a new vibrance and zest for life in me that carried throughout my entire life, right? There was a period of shifting where I went from this not feeling empowered sexual guy to being wow, I can have sex with a woman and she can come over and over and over again, and I'm not even worried about coming. Holy shit, So that gave me more confidence and more drive, and more how that translated into my business world is that it gave me more confidence when negotiating contracts. I had more self-worth, so I had an easier time quoting higher prices for projects. I had an easier time letting jobs go that didn't pay me enough. And sure enough, what do you think happened when I stopped taking all these jobs out of scarcity and I started quoting more? I started making more money. Yeah, it was as simple as that. I don't want to give off the illusion that I'm rich and I've totally made it. I haven't, but I am sustainable as an entrepreneur right now with my photography and video business, and that's fucking awesome. And I think really honestly a huge part of that is my semen retention practice, and seeing semen retention practice as more than just a sexual thing. It's a lifestyle for me. being clear on where my energy leaks might be and like plugging those and drawing my energy back in instead of just letting it go, you know, for like, oh, sex, ejaculation, or ooh, that job, I should take it, ooh, that job, I should take it, you know, like instead of going for the immediate gratification, like holding out for something greater. That has been a huge paradigm shift for me with this practice. I recently actually just put together an introduction to semen retention course because I think this stuff is so powerful. It's so fucking powerful, and it can really change your life. Like, it totally changed my life, and this course right now is free. It's not always going to be free, but it's free right now and for the next bunch of months because I want to run a bunch of guys through it and get some feedback, just because I want to make it as good as possible. So the link is beneath this video, and if you go to it and it's not free anymore, then that means I've had a bunch of people go through it and I've gotten feedback, and I know for sure, like 100%, it'll help you. I think this shit is super important. I'd love to support each other as brothers in this life. Like, we don't get taught this stuff growing up, you know? So let's support each other. Let's have the best fucking sex lives possible, and not only that, but like make more money too and thrive. All right, that's it for me. Thanks y'all for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Cheers.